Welcome to today's Smith in the World panel. I am Meredith Courtney. I'm the Director of Employer Engagement and Business Networks for the Lazarus Center. And this is the second panel of our Smith in the World conference series for 2025. Some of you may have joined us the other day for the CLDI panel, which was amazing. And I am thrilled today to be hosting this panel featuring our students who will share their experiences in business, finance, consulting, and entrepreneurship. We also have additional panels throughout the month of January in STEM, education, nonprofit, and social impact, government law, public policy, and international affairs, arts, media, and communications, and health professions. So a lot of exciting panels lined up. If you haven't signed up for those, I highly encourage you to check them out. We welcome everyone joining us today, our students, prospective Smithies, faculty, staff, family and friends, even supervisors and colleagues of the folks that will be sharing their experiences. Thank you for joining us to hear from these outstanding students. I have had the pleasure of working with all of them over the past few months to craft their presentations, although I didn't really have to do a lot. They're rock stars and they did all of the work, but have had a wonderful experience getting to know them and getting to hear their stories and their insights about what they've learned from their internship experiences and how they can bring back to Smith. Smith in the World Conference celebrates the students' off-campus experiential learning through internships, community service, research, or study abroad. And as you'll see, students reflect on these experiences and how they've impacted and enriched their academic and professional pathways. This conference is also part of the college's spring showcases, and you can learn more about that on Smith's website. I believe we're going to drop a link in the chat that will take you there if you want to learn more about the spring showcases. So our panelists today will give short presentations about their off-campus learning experiences, focusing on their projects, the impact that these experiences have had on them, and how Smith prepared them for those experiences. So again, today's focus is on the business career community, and we are honored to introduce our panelists. We have Handi Liu, class of 2025, Pim Wongswan, class of 2026, Priscilla Liu, class of 2025, and Sarah Kim, class of 2026. Today's session will be recorded, so we ask that everyone in the audience, please keep your microphones muted. And we will be doing a Q&A at the end. So all the presenters will present, and then at the very end, we'll do Q&A for everyone. So please submit your questions for presenters using the chat tool. Our team will be behind the scenes fielding questions, and we will get to the Q&A and all of your questions after all the presentations are finished. So with that, without further ado, I will hand things over to our first panelist, Handi Liu.
Thank you, Meredith, for your intro. And now I will be sharing my screen. Can you all see it? Okay. Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Handi. Thank you so much for coming to today's session. Today I will be talking about my summer internship at AQR Capital in the field of quantitative asset management. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about myself. I'm a senior and I study economics and music, and I also have a concentration in global finance. On campus, I'm a part of the investment club, Chinese Student Association, Smithies in data science, and Duct Tape Production, which is our school's musical. Before joining AQR, I was a summer intern at Morgan Stanley's Institutional Equities Division in my sophomore summer. And prior to that, I was an intern in the macro research department of a PE fund that is relatively small. And on the right, you will see some photos of me in my previous internships. Now I want to talk a little bit about AQR. So AQR is the company that I interned in my junior summer. The full name of the company is Applied Quantitative Research. The company is a quantitative asset manager that has a lot of strategies ranging from hedge fund, long only, ESG, and tax aware strategies. The company was founded by Cliff Asness, John Liu, and David Kabiller in 1998. And overall, the company really believes in fundamental investing, systematically applied and thoughtfully designed. What this essentially means is that although AQR is a quant shop, meaning that most of its trading investment decisions were really executed through models that were programmed by very complicated software programming languages. Um, every single economic decision or investment decision is actually based on strong economic intuition. AQR takes a lot of pride in its academic association. A majority of the people on the research team at AQR have PhD degrees, and there are a lot of adjunct faculty from top business schools around the world in our research team, really leading some of our strategies. AQR doesn't really think of itself merely as a leader in money management, but also as a thought leader in the field of finance. So every single quarter, the company publishes white papers, and also, publishes papers on top academic journals in the field of finance. So now I want to briefly talk about how I got the internship. I heard about AQR in my freshman year, and then in my sophomore year, I attended this program called Smithies Connect, that matched me with a Smith alum who happens to be an AQR employee, and I got to know the company through her. And then also in my sophomore year, I attended AQR's diversity program called Sophomore Women's Summit Program, and I learned a lot more about the firm and met some of the senior people in the company. And then I applied with the Smith alums referral for the junior internship, and I got the offer after a first round and a super day. Now I want to briefly talk about the department that I was in at AQR. I was in business development, which is the client-facing and revenue-making part of AQR. The job can be nailed down into 4 different parts. So there is prospecting, maintaining current relationship with our clients, client advising, which is essentially educating our clients about how we think about the market, doing customized portfolio analysis, and occasionally asset allocation projects for our clients, to really help them consider how do they best allocate their balance sheets. And also we record and distribute a lot of the webinars. And then there's also the ESG strategy parts of AQR that produces an ESG annual report, because a lot of our clients really care about ESG. And we also have a department at AQR that specifically focus on ESG related investment strategies. In short, I would really say that business development is a very senior person driven field, in which the senior people, the managing directors, the partners, they own a relationship with the client, and the junior people, the analysts, interns, and associates, they are really supporting the senior people. Now I want to briefly talk about the courses that I found super helpful, and the course that prepared me really well for this internship. Obviously, all the econ classes, macro, micro, metrics, corporate finance, applied financial econometrics, and also, if possible, if you're interested in quantitative asset management, take a lot of computer science class, take a lot of data science, math courses, because they really help you to understand the models. And last but not least, I use the Bloomberg terminal on a day-to-day basis when I was interning at AQR. Actually, Smith offers the Bloomberg terminal certificates for free. So if you are a current student at Smith, definitely check it out in the spring semester. Now I want to briefly talk about culture and mentorship at AQR. I would say that, the program was super considerate. And in my internship, I was given a mentor and a manager, and these people were assigned to me by HR. My mentor was, more similar to my age. He was a first-year analyst, and my manager was someone who was a lot more senior than the first-year analyst. My manager would give me tasks and also give me feedback, while my mentor would really guide me on anything that is in my way. There's also, a very um, uh, organic mentorship culture in the company. Anyone, if you're interested in talking to them, just send them an email and they are more than happy to have a coffee chat with you. And I really took advantage of this organic mentorship culture of the firm. I set up a lot of coffee chats with senior people of the firm, including the founder, David Kaviller himself. And I would also say that the culture at AQR is very collaborative. There's a lot of cross-team collaboration, and I would work closely with people from research, people from engineering, people from data analysis, et cetera, on a day-to-day basis. Lastly, AQR really cares about employee development. There is a program at AQR called the Quanta Academy that is essentially a program for new hires and interns that was developed internally. There are a series of workshops covering different topics, including investing, to something more fun. Like I was very amazed by the public speaking workshop, the content creation workshop, and a workshop on machine learning. And one important thing about AQR is that it's really focuses on work hard, play hard culture. Um, you know, Although people work really hard and people are all very, very smart at the company, we also have a lot of fun. So one thing that really touched me was my team threw me a surprise birthday party during the internship. I had no idea, and everyone at the team who was in the office was, there, and they bought me cupcakes and cookies, and that was really, really nice. Um, and then another thing was, we have a lot of team dinners, we have a lot of happy hours in New York City and also in Greenwich. And this is a photo of a very nice steak dinner paid by the company. And we also went to this intern Yankees game. And that was actually my first ever baseball game in my life. And last but not least, I saw the first Broadway musical in my life. So AQR invited all interns to an annual offsite, and we watched Anne Juliet in New York City, and that was a lot of fun. And now I want to briefly talk about the key takeaways that I had from this internship. So first of all, I think that throughout the past 10 weeks in the internship, I definitely improved on my ability, especially attention to details, because business development is a job in which you have to have an amazing level of attention to details because you are talking with clients and this position external facing. I still think that I need to improve on my attention to details by constantly proofreading and checking the things that I messed up. And the second thing that I think I learned the most was, how to be a collaborative person in a team and how to be a team player. Because the culture at AQR was very, very collaborative. And I think that I benefited a lot by observing what my seniors were doing. Third was public speaking skills. So, obviously, as I mentioned before, there was a public speaking workshop hosted by Quanta Academy. I was also really practicing public speaking on a day-to-day basis when I was talking to more senior people. And I also had to make a final presentation at the end of my internship to a very large audience. And I guess the last thing was I realized that business development is a very amazing field and I love doing it. So I will be returning to AQR in 2025 as a full-time analyst. And thank you so much for you all's attention. And now I will open the floor for a Q&A.
Thank you so much, Handi. We are going to do Q&A at the very end, so we'll invite people to ask their questions in the chat. I know that Handi has to actually hop off in a few minutes. True to the spirit of Smith in the World, 3 out of the 4 panelists we have with us today are joining us from international locations. So for some of them, it is 9:30 or 10 p.m. at night. So I know that Handi has to drop off, but if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat and we will pass those questions along to Handi. What I love about your story, just first of all, congratulations that you have a return offer and you'll be returning to AQR. That's amazing. And I just love how you focused on the mentorship and professional development opportunities that you had within the company. Sounds amazing, and we always love when we know that your students are finding opportunities where they can really, not just have a good experience, but get development as well. So congratulations, and thank you so much for presenting and sharing your experience.
Thank you, Meredith.
All right, well, thank you, Handi. We're going to move on to our second panelist who will join us. Pim Wongswan is class of 2026, and we will ask you to share your screen and you can take it from here.
Of course. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see this okay? Yes, okay, perfect. Let me make this full screen as well. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. It's so hard going after Handi, who's amazing and actually was my mentor to help me prepare for this internship. Hi, I'm Pim. I'm a junior now studying quantitative economics with a global finance concentration. And I guess before I start, it's very useful to have a bit of background. On campus, I'm involved in the investment club, consulting club, and also the Asian Student Association. And for some background on my previous experiences, I've interned at crowdfunding platform Tejai, which is similar to the Thai version of GoFundMe, Kiat Nakin Patra Financial Group, or was part of the macro research team. And I'm going to be talking about the Stock Exchange of Thailand, which was my sophomore year internship. But it's also important to note that this past semester, I was studying abroad in Smith in Geneva, and I was part of the CUTS International Geneva, which is an NGO that focuses on economic and trade policy in the global south. So before we begin, I think it's very important to understand an overview of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, or SET. So SET, the Stock Exchange of Thailand, has two main responsibilities amongst many of their different divisions. But firstly is it moderates trading of listed securities, and secondly, it reports to any business approved or Securities and Exchange Committees, or reporting to the SEC. So, and it's important to note that the Stock Exchange of Thailand is not private, it's not public, it's a very quasi-public, very unique identity within Thailand as well. Here are some photos from the Stock Exchange of Thailand, and one of my favorite things, which is not pictured here because I was unable to get a nice photo, but the Stock Exchange of Thailand, on the building itself, if the market closes at a loss, the building will actually be red, but if it closes at a positive, it will be green. So every day when I was walking out my internship, I could see if it was a good day or a bad day for the economy. Usually it was a good day. And now I'll be talking more about my responsibilities at the Stock Exchange. I've divided these into two segments. So this is the first segment. The first section was my research project, where I researched the impact of COVID-19 on different tourism sectors in Thailand due to confidentiality. And I used some private data that's exclusive, not exclusive, but private to the Stock Exchange. I'm not sure to which level of degree and detail I can discuss this, but basically I was trying to explore in which, because tourism is a very big industry in Thailand and accounts for a lot of the economic growth. During COVID-19, when there was a lot of lockdowns and shutdowns, obviously this caused the economy to shrink and also slow down a certain amount. So I wanted to see to which extent, or if the certain sectors within the tourism industries were affected first, or to what degree they were affected. And then after I got all these findings, I presented to the research team, and I believe that some of my data was further used for a set note or small report publications as well. In order to reach my findings, I pulled on data from public news sources, for example, the IMF, World Bank, but I also pulled a lot of data from the stock exchange's personal information system and also Bloomberg as well. And I ran regressions on Excel. Here's an example of what some of my findings will hopefully be used for. SetNo, which is an example of a short report that the stock exchange releases out to the public on different macroeconomic issues and current trending topics. On the other side of my responsibilities was more of an HR organized project. So HR assigned all the 100 interns to create a video promoting the Stock Exchange of Thailand's culture. And for our video, we went around interviewing each of the interns about what they were impressed about working at the Stock Exchange of Thailand, and also just a general culture and life at the firm. And our video actually placed third overall in the competition and will be used to encourage further students to apply for an internship at the Stock Exchange. In addition to the two main goals of responsibilities I had, the Stock Exchange also had many fun activities. So on the left is actually the public library at the Bank of Thailand, which we went as an offsite, and we were given through a tour, which is very, very fun, and also provided lunch as well. And on the right is the team that I worked with. The person standing to my left was actually my colleague, my teammate on this exact same team, and we got very close during the internship as well, and we're still in contact, which is really sweet. And if you could notice the little fan that she's holding, that's the bull, because bull, bear, base case of the market, and it's like one of the symbols for the stock exchange. There was a lot of bull merchandise during the internship. This is just another picture of of working at the firm. There's over 100 of us, so I unfortunately did not get close with everyone at the firm, but I made a really good group of friends. Another thing that's important to mention as well is that a lot of my intern friends were from Thai universities, and me studying at an international school and now a university in the US, it was funny to contrast between the different syllabus and the ways in which we approach different problems. So that was really fun to collaborate when we were assigned different projects as well. So now moving on to evaluation of my working at the Stock Exchange. First thing is definitely there was a very good work-life balance and culture. Previously working at at a startup, and like the GoFundMe platform was more of a startup, and then at Gyenakin Patrat, which is a private firm, and they work at a faster pace. So maybe it was pretty common to log on for the morning call and also work beyond the beyond the agreed hours, versus at the Stock Exchange, it was very common for team members to log out at 5 p.m. to go play badminton, to go play basketball, to go run, and then maybe log back in for a couple hours. Another big benefit of working at the Stock Exchange, among many other things, is that downstairs in the public library, there are 12 Bloomberg terminals where you get certifications for free. So during part of my internship, I was able to go down and get these certifications that would help me do my research. For context, the Bloomberg terminal is a big computer that you can search about different stocks and also like macro trending news. And I think Handi mentioned it, but the Smith Center at the Conway Center also has a place where you can earn the certificates as well. And I highly recommend any prospective finance interns or just anyone interested to go look into that as well. On to the more of the least positive side, I guess this ties in with the positive as well, is like a slower pace. As I previously mentioned, I interned at a private firm, an NGO this past semester, and also now working at a quasi-public. Because the work-life balance was very good, it was also, the payoff was maybe possibly a slower pace, which was something I was not exactly used to. But then I'm not exactly sure if this can be used across the board, because a lot of my internship experiences have been in Asia, and I believe that the Western corporate culture and the Asian corporate culture, there may be nuances and differences as well. So now on to my two key takeaways from interning at the Stock Exchange. The first one is definitely time management, because although I had my project and the HR project, sometimes there were additional media reports or additional conferences that I would have to attend throughout the day. So it was very important for me to able to go to these conferences, take notes for my managers and mentors, and then also go back to work on my project, which had a very strict deadline. So I was able to balance a lot of these responsibilities, and also whilst maintaining a very high level of quality of work and attention to detail. And then secondly is professionalism, which is something that I overlook, but I'm now realizing when I was externing at the Stock Exchange that is very important, because, for example, working at the private firm and the startup, I could wear jeans and a t-shirt to work, versus here at the Stock Exchange, it was very common to wear a professional button up and also proper like loafers or proper shoes as well, which was something that was a minor adjustment, but I think it's very important for me to take away as I begin my next summer internship, where the culture, I think, will require that type of dressing up as well. So now on to lessons for Smith. I think that this internship definitely helped with my research skills. I'm much more fluent in navigating different data sets and also running regressions and being able to organize data and conclusions into concise three bullet point takeaways for my mentors and managers, which I think will be very useful as I continue on to write my senior thesis and have to present that to a group of professors as well. And secondly, I think is when I was studying at Smith, I took a lot of the required econ courses, for example, macroeconomics, microeconomics, and it was very fun to see how these principles and foundations and theories were applied in real life as well. Now moving forward, this summer, I'll be interning at Prudential Financial, the investment management arm, or PGIM, as part of their investment team, specifically sales. And to talk more about this role, there are many ways that you can score an internship. Particularly for this experience, I got it through Modern Guild, which is similar to Handshake, the website that Smith suggests you use. But then another thing, that other opportunities and different things I've also used in the past are Handshake, Smith Connects, and also talking to different professors. Professors, I think, are a very big asset some people overlook, because my professor connected me with a lot of alum in different firms as well, and also just talking to upperclassmen. Everyone on the panel with me today, Priscilla and Handi, actually helped coach me and with like preparing for interviews, and Sarah actually coached me the night before I took this interview and scored this internship. She's the first person I told. So I think utilizing your community at the investment club and also just your community of friends and like-minded people in the major is so important as well. Thank you so much for your time, and I will be here until the end of the session to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pim. I really appreciate your presentation. Congratulations on your internship at Prudential. That's amazing. And I love hearing the stories about the collaboration and the support that you received from your colleagues who are here with us and other colleagues. I also, I really appreciate in both yours and Handi's presentation, and I think the others as well, is talking about company culture. I think we all agree that that's just so important and critical when you're making your decisions about where you're going to work or intern. And so I love that you've honed in on that as part of your presentation, comparing what it's like to work in a public sector versus private versus the quasi public private that you worked in. It's really important. And I also can't wait to hear more about, I know you can't speak a lot about the results of the research that you did in terms of the impact of COVID on the tourism in Thailand. I can't imagine the implications of that for what that's going to result in. It's so important. We all know what the implications of COVID was for everything, and the fact that you were able to do that research and provide insights for your organization is just really invaluable. So hopefully someday we'll hear more about that. I just wanted to also mention, and again, Pim will be here till the end, as well as our other panelists. So please do, if you have questions, put them in the chat as you go along, if things come up. I did want to mention that I think both Handi and Pim have mentioned the Smith Connect, which we have a new, if you haven't participated in it before, we have a new resource called Smith Career Connect, which is an online resource that you can use to connect with alums. So a lot of what they were talking about in terms of connecting with alums, whether it's to find opportunities or to just connect with alums to talk about what opportunities are out there, do coffee chats, get insights on industries. Smith Career Connect is a fantastic way for you to be able to do that. So we encourage all of you to check it out and sign up and explore it. So I will stop talking because I want to make sure we have enough time for our wonderful panelists. So now I will hand things over to Priscilla, and welcome to Priscilla, and we look forward to hearing your story.
Thank you, Meredith. Hi everyone. I'm Priscilla. I'm going to share my screen. Wait. Oh, actually, can one of you share my slides, because I got a new laptop and it seems like it has some problem with sharing. I'm so sorry.
No worries. I can pull up your slides right here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's see, share. All right, can everyone see
Yes.
these slides?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm Priscilla. Today I will be talking about my journey into economic consulting at Cornerstone Research. Next slide, please. So first, a little bit about me. I grew up in China. I'm a class of 2025. As most of the time, I live in this kind house. I double major in quant econ and SDS. I was a summer analyst at Cornerstone Research last summer, and I already accepted the written offer. So I'm now an incoming analyst. In my spare time, I also like ice skating, true crime series, and language learning. Next slide, please. So I will be talking about my journey like year by year because I think I kind of have an interesting journey when I was trying to narrow down my focus of recruiting. So the theme of my first year was exploration. Um, could you please click? Yeah, so my strategy in my first year was like find my interest and then try some classes to see if I really enjoy doing it. So I was really interested in law school when I entered Smith, and especially in corporate law career. So I took some government classes and some econ classes as well. And surprisingly, although I did well in the government classes, I did not really enjoy them that much. But for the econ classes, I actually enjoy both of the intermediate micro class and the econometrics class. And I met Professor Haas Wilson in the microeconomic class, and she's actually worked for Analysis Group, which is a big economic consulting group. And that was the point when I got introduced to the world of economic consulting. Yeah, could you please click? Yeah. So so after exploring these courses and activities, I decided to not become a government major and instead become an economics and SDS double major. I also decided to further explore career options related to these two majors. So in the summer after my first year, I did summer research at HSS Finance Lab at Smith with two professors. And I also did the Cornerstone First Year Foundations program, which was a virtual one-day program that introduced me to the firm and the industry. Next slide, please. And in the sophomore year, the theme was experience. So at this point, I knew that I was interested in econ and data science and law, but I wasn't so sure about which career paths I should go and how should I focus on my recruiting, because sophomore year is a very key point of recruiting. So I tried more clubs, extracurricular assessments, and also some concrete internships in the industry to just explore more and narrow down my focus. As you can see, at Smith, I tried pre-law society, investment club, and outside of school, I tried the internship at the law firm and also a private equity firm. At the end, I found that I still wasn't so sure about the law school path, so I kind of like deprioritized that option, and instead I found that I was really interested in economic consulting because it was a perfect intersection of econ, data science, and law. I also did some finance recruiting, but that wasn't like my top choice because I felt I couldn't really apply my coding skills in finance internships. And also, personally, I am a more like slow learner. I prefer like deeper learning at a slower pace. However, I feel finance world is more like fast paced and you have to follow the market very closely. And it's also very competitive environment. So I just feel personally, I like the economic consulting world more, which I will talk more in detail on the next slide. So what is economic consulting? Is actually a kind of a very niche industry. There are not so many firms in economic consulting, unlike in management consulting. You have many firms. So economic consultants do work on litigation and regulatory matters, and we work kind of in between academia and industry. We work with professors of economics and finance, and also some leading industry experts. And in terms of day-to-day work, we do research and analysis, like what you will be doing in a research lab in academia. We also assist with report drafting, doc demonstratives, and consulting with attorneys. So it's like helping attorneys drafting their report that they will going to submit to the court. In terms of skill set, as an economic consultant, you will develop tools of economics, finance, accounting, and marketing in a business litigation setting. And so because you have these very useful skills and knowledge in the future, if you decide to leave economic consulting, you can explore career options in business, law, academia, and public policy. So I think that's a big advantage of this career path, because it gives you a lot of options if you decide to leave in the future. Next slide, please. And then for the recruiting process, so it varies year by year. So this was in 2023. So that year after I did the Cornerstone Sophomore Summit, I started recruiting. I submitted my application in late August and did my first round interview, which was virtual, 2 30-minute back-to-back interviews. And then the final round interview in late September, it was in person, and I had 4 to 5 rounds of interviews with people at different levels, like MDs, principal, VP, associate, and analyst. We also had a meal. The interview was mostly case-based, which is kind of different from some other economic consulting company, because I know that AG doesn't have case component in their interviews. But for Cornerstone, it's mostly case, but you will also have behaviorals at the beginning. Some tips, first, definitely know what is on your resume, and try to connect what is on your resume to economic consulting, because as I said, it's kind of a niche industry. You have a very compelling story to tell the interviewer that I really know what you are doing, and I know I will be a good fit. And secondly, be organized, dive deep, and think comprehensively. So this is like, because we do more like academic work, I think this is also very important. And thirdly, for the case part, don't be shy to ask for guidance or clarification. And last but not least, be prepared to ask questions at the end of the interview. I think this is also very important that many people may overlook. Asking interviewer questions is a way to show your interest in their work, but also a way for you to know the company more, because an interview goes both ways. So this is also a great opportunity for you to decide whether you would like to take the offer if you got them. Next slide, please. So then I will talk about my experience at Cornerstone. This is my cubicle in the summer. I really like it. So in terms of casework, I was stuck on 2 cases, one about data privacy and another about bankruptcy. My work was mostly literature review, exhibit making, and documents review. So literature review is like what you will do in a research lab or for a seminar course. Exhibit making is like what you will be doing in like SDS 192, like making graphs using R or other coding tools. And documents review was just like reviewing the documents sent by attorneys. I actually did not code. My exhibit was like qualitative exhibit, but that was not normality, because I knew most of the other summer analysts did a lot of coding, so I was kind of an outlier in that part. I also attended external and internal team meeting. I would say most of the meeting I attended were internal, because external meeting were more was clients and experts. So those were more for people at higher levels, like associate, principals, etc. We also had a lot of cultural events. I was also assigned a buddy and an advisor who helped me adjust. The buddy was a first-year analyst and the advisor was an associate. So like Handi said, one will help you to adjust to your day-to-day challenges, while the other one will guide you to a bigger picture of your career development. We also had regular launch talks and seminars that helped me learn about Cornerstone's work, such as how to secure a case, how do we do stuffing, and career development opportunities. And I think the key fact that helped me decide to return to the firm was actually not about the casework, because I personally think 8 weeks was relatively short for me to know the whole picture of the firm's casework, because Cornerstone does a lot of different kinds of cases and I was only on 2, so I don't want to make any conclusion just based on those 2 cases. So I asked myself to decide based on the culture I feel and the people I met. So I really love the people there. I think they not only care about the work I did, but also cared about me as a person and my own career development. They're very supportive and helpful throughout the process. So that was a key deciding factor. And I also think it aligns well with my career goal. As I said, you can have many different career options if you choose economic consulting as your career start point. Next slide, please. So this is just some like pictures of the events, some pictures of food that they gave to us at some company events. I also really like the part because I think I gained some weight over the summer. The food was really good. Yeah, so next slide. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I'm also happy to answer any questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. I love those pictures at the end of the wonderful treats. That's always a plus. Congratulations on your return to Cornerstone. I really, what stuck out to me from the start of your presentation is I know that so many of our students just appreciate hearing those stories of exploration and how you started with the concept of law or the thought about going into law, and you tried different things, saw what worked for you and really found your interest area. So thank you for sharing that trajectory. I think it's really important for other students to hear about success stories there. And thank you also for sharing some of the insights about the recruiting process, because I know that that is often, somewhat daunting or can be confusing for folks sometimes if they're not quite sure what they're going into. So I think hearing experiences like yours is really helpful for others. So thank you and congratulations. And last but certainly not least, we will hand it over to Sarah Kim to close out and share her insights and her experience.
Thank you so much, Meredith. I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to share my slide right now. Can you all see? Okay, amazing. This is the first time where technology has worked for me, so. All right, let me do the slideshow. All right. So hi, my name is Sarah. I'm currently a junior at Smith College. I'm majoring in quantitative economics. And today I want to tell you how to pivot your career from opportunity to luck. So a little bit about me. I am originally from Chicago. I come from a kind of lower income background where I was not really exposed to finance or economics or any of that kind of background. So I am that pioneer in my family. And so really a lot about, navigating is an important lesson that I've learned, because when I first entered Smith College, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do psychology. At one point, I wanted to do the arts. But then I came across a intro to microeconomics course that really piqued my interest. And from there, I've, started to kind of get to know the field and kind of what students were pursuing with this major. And I came across finance. A lot of a huge trend at Smith College is that students pursue finance with their quantitative economics or economics major. And so I started to look for opportunities. And eventually I came across an amazing program called Girls Who Invest. This program is a 4-week long process where you do take courses at the University of Pennsylvania. It's taught by professionals and professors, and you learn topics such as valuation, public speaking, business etiquette, Bloomberg. So we actually went to New York and learned a bit of Bloomberg from the headquarters. So that was really an incredible experience. And so that was the first part. And so in this whole part of this program, the whole part of it is to raise women in finance fields because they unfortunately are still a minority in this industry. And so this cohort was comprised of 215 wonderful women. And we were all learning about investment management. And the second component of this program was the internship. So I was matched with the Oregon State Treasury, and in this internship, there was 2 rotations. I first worked at the fixed income where I looked at macroeconomic trends and saw how bonds and different stocks were invested. The second component was the alternatives team. So I started to learn how do they evaluate their managers, how do they choose the right partners, and how do they invest in different funds and what stages does it go through. So this was an incredible experience. I've never been to Oregon, but now I can say I've been there, and it taught me so much about what the investment management landscape looks like. Another great component is for Girls Who Invest is their career portal. So I was fortunate enough to go through their interviewing process and was fortunate enough to be matched with Vanguard. And for the summer of 2025, I will be in Malvern, Pennsylvania. This internship is a 2-year long process with 4 different rotations. And although I don't know what I'm specifically going to do in these rotations, you have these technical trainings where you learn, maybe coding or specific skill sets that are really crucial to your position. And then you learn under different leaders. And so I'm very excited to be part of this internship and, go through it even after graduation. And so initially I told you I wanted to help you create your career from opportunity to luck. And so why am I bringing this up? So while I was networking, some common theme that I saw with all of my meetings was that when I asked, so how did you end up in your position? They would respond with, I was just lucky. It kind of worked out that way. And that really got me thinking of what does it really mean to be lucky? So after doing a lot of thinking and organizing, I was able to break it down through 3 different components. So number 1 is the mindset. What do you want to do a year from now? How can you achieve it? Number 2 is networking. So how can I create that connection? Networking can be a very daunting term, but if you rephrase it to, I want to build a connection, I want to create, maybe have a handshake with someone. That really changes the whole perspective of getting to know different people in different industries. And the last component is opportunity. So opportunities. So what opportunities exist right now? Starting with the first component, having a growth mindset is very, very important. So this is a quote that I really like from Emily Dickinson. This is also something that my mom has really taught me growing up. I'm very type A, so I always create a list and try to do everything all at once. So my mind is always all over the place, but truly organizing and taking it one step at a time really helps you achieve your goals, because as long as you make that first step, you will eventually get to that place where you really want to be. The second component is networking. This is something that I had to learn on my own with the guidance of my sister, who was also a pioneer in my family for consulting. And so there are many different platforms and different opportunities that exist. First, there's LinkedIn, there's coffee chats hosted by Smith College. I know that there's a strong partner with Bank of America that they host every semester. There's external programs, campus clubs events such as investment club, and mentorship. And you might be wondering what this QR code is on the right side. And so this is the list of questions that I always prepare whenever I get to know somebody for the first time. My sister actually sent this to me because I had no idea what to do in my first networking and first coffee chat. And so it will kind of give you a list of how to get to know someone, how to ask the right questions. These aren't perfect questions, but I truly hope that these questions is a good starting point for you and that you can, in fact, further improve on it and create your own list of questions in the future. The last component is opportunity. You'll see a trend from the previous slide, but there's, again, a lot of opportunities on campus. And I'm currently a peer advisor at the Lazarus Center. And so I get to see what kind of resources, what kind of events are taking place on campus. And so, you've got the peer advisors, you have different on-campus events like career fairs. But taking advantage of all these resources is really, really important because, you're not going to be successful every single time, but it's a learning lesson. And so you get to learn more about yourself, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. For example, career fairs, I've been to so many with my friend Pim, actually, and we've prepared, 10 different copies of resumes. But, for me, at the end of the day, I didn't find them effective. But I only knew because I went to those career fairs and I learned what is a right fit for me and what isn't a right fit for me. And so I learned that LinkedIn and reaching out and, being proactive and creating a Zoom meeting was more fitting for my different style. And just to top it off, I want you all to get very lucky. And so I've created a little acronym for you. And this also encapsulates kind of how I approach my career and my life. And so L is leveraging your resources, making sure you know what exists out there and being proactive about it. U is utilize your connections. Who is around you right now? Is it the upperclassmen? Is it, your family members? Is it friends? Something that I found very helpful is talking to upperclassmen and setting up, a little lunch meeting with them because they're in a position where you'll be in a year from now, and that's super, super close. And so understanding, their mindset and how they approach their career trajectory was very, very helpful. C is communicative, proactively making sure that you know how to approach these relationships and also communicate with yourself. Reflecting on what works for you and what doesn't work for you has been very, very crucial in my career. K is keep learning. There's never an end to learning. Careers are always changing and advancing every day. So understanding how these landscapes are changing and advancing is very, very crucial. And why? Yield results. When I say yield results, I'm not talking about the successes. I actually am talking more about the failures because you only learn from when you make mistakes or when you fail. I currently have a document of all the rejections that I've got from different summer programs, internships, and so many other opportunities, even from like Morgan Stanley and all those big firms. But I look at it and I'm very happy because I at least made that effort and make that initiative to apply. And now I know, how to apply. What kind of qualifications does a person need in order to apply for this position? And so this acronym, I hope it helps for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. But that is the end for my time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Really appreciate that. I know that when we were going through the test run of your presentation, I just love your approach to providing the insights through your acronym and through your tips. Growth mindset is something that I think we all, can work on, even when you're mid-career, like I am, still working on that. And the power of networking too, that's just, you have some really, really great insights on that and tips for folks who might be whether they're looking for opportunities or just general, if you're looking for career development, networking is always going to be a part of that throughout your career. So thank you for sharing your insights and your lucky acronym. And yeah, at this point, I think, I don't see any questions in the chat. Maybe Emily's caught some, but we are open to questions for Pim, Priscilla, Sarah, please feel free to ask anything that comes to mind. Put them in the chat. I guess while we're maybe waiting for others to put some questions in the chat, we only have about 5 minutes left, but one important question that I think is always of use for these panels is if any of you have, and you've touched on this, but just if you can think of one piece of advice that you would give to another student, maybe a first year student or a sophomore who is seeking an internship in your fields. If anyone wants to just jump in, you can jump in and share anything that comes to mind first and foremost.
I think you cut off for me. Would you repeat that one more time?
Oh, I'm sorry, I cut off. Okay, so yeah, if just what was one piece of advice or one thought you have that comes to mind that you would give to another student, maybe a first year or a sophomore student who's interested in going into an internship and landing an internship in finance or consulting?
I can start off, if that's okay with the both of you. I think that keeping an open mind is really important because in my freshman year, I was recruiting for a sophomore internship because, recruiting is so early. But, I was very, very kind of fixated on the fact that, I would get a specific opportunity, but you have to keep an open mind, and everything is a learning process. So I encourage you all to, be proactive with different applications and everything, but also don't beat yourself over just because you didn't get a specific opportunity. And I think, definitely like emotions were, up and down during the first 2 years of my career, but just learning from experience, I think that having an open mind will save you a lot of stress.
Thank you. And we actually had somebody in the chat who jumped in and kind of expanded on this question to talk about, if you're a first year who doesn't necessarily have any experience in finance or consulting yet, where would you suggest starting? Maybe Pim or Priscilla, you have thoughts on both of those questions, but I think that's an interesting nuance to this question is if you don't have experience yet, where do you start? Where do you start? What's step one?
I think there are two approaches that I follow. The first approach is to get what is next to you. It might be like an internship you saw on Handshake or like anywhere by family connection, friend connection, or anything. Maybe it's not a big name, but it's an internship and it will put something on your resume. So I will suggest you to take that opportunity to start getting some like corporate or workplace experience. And the second approach is that you can ask juniors, seniors, or alumni, ask them what is their first internship, and if whether they can connect you with that firm. I recently got someone who asked me about my first consulting internship, and I did connect her with the firm. So I think that's also a very effective approach.
If you don't mind me adding on to Priscilla's point, I think that's a great approach as well. And from talking from personal experience, when I first joined Smith freshman year, I had no idea about finance or consulting or how to navigate the internship process. But I went into my first investment club meeting. They were setting up LinkedIn profiles and writing resumes. And so I believe that the clubs at Smith are very inclusive and they really set you up. And the upperclassmen, the e-board is very more than happy to help you. And also, I think one of the key takeaways from the multiple coffee chats and alums I've talked to, I have like 3 words. I guess I'm copying Sarah's little acronym thing here, but is to be reliable, coachable, and also to be reliable, coachable, and likable, and to be able to reflect this possibly on your resume, but also once you've gotten that internship offer as well, because you want to be reliable, because people want to know you can count on you. So for example, if they want you to do a specific task, if they're like, oh, like we know for sure like so and so will get this done into high quality and coachable, because to be fair, we're still going through, there's so much of this industry we do not know yet. So to be able to have that growth mindset that Sarah mentioned as well, and be able to always willing to learn more is very important. And the last one is to be likable, because at the end of the day, you're joining a team, you're joining a culture and joining a community that it's like if it's a good fit for you, and also if they want you on the team as well. So that's my 3 keywords, I believe.
Thank you. I love it. And I always love when we can break things down into acronyms or like 3 words that we can keep top of mind or keep on like a billboard, a whiteboard next to us to look at and remind us. I know that we're at time technically, it's 10:30. So, Iris is curious about, or Iris or Iris, is it possible to join the investment and consulting club the 2nd semester? And I believe the answer is yes, but I think all of you can confirm that with me. Yeah, okay, yes,
Yes, you can
absolutely.
join.
Yeah, and that's more than welcome. So yes, please reach out to the leaders of the clubs, and if you need guidance in finding the access to that, just let us know. Let me know, or you can let any of the panelists know. Thank you all of us for joining us today. Thank you so much for our panelists for sharing your insights and your lessons learned